Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual college exploration program for all New Jersey students, sponsored by the New Jersey Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. A few housekeeping items before we get started. You can utilize the Q&A button on your screen to type questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and your microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions that are happening this week, so please make sure that you go to njacac.org/virtual fair to see everything that's going on this week. This presentation will be recorded and will be available within a week on that same website. And with that in mind, I will turn it over to our presenters for the evening.
Thank you, Carlos, and welcome everybody. We're going to give it just one moment in case we have students and guests that are logging into our system. But in the meantime, again, I just want to thank Carlos for the introduction and of course, New Jersey ACAC for allowing San Diego State University to be part of this wonderful program. It's good to be with you here, coming from you live, kidding, at San Diego. My name is Danielle Toglia. I'm the Regional Admission and Recruitment Manager for the university. I do live permanently in New Jersey, lucky me. And so most of you, perhaps we will come in contact over the next few weeks as I visit schools in the area virtually and host events and obviously get to know you better. But I am in New Jersey permanently as of the spring. So it's good to be with you. I have a phenomenal guest for you tonight, a great surprise. I'm going to let her introduce herself and then we'll get started.
My name is Hannah. I'm a junior at San Diego State University studying journalism and media studies with an emphasis in advertising.
Hannah, your volume is a little low. Can you just increase your volume a little bit for us?
Is that better?
No, it's okay. No, I can't hear you now.
Okay, I think it's
Just
switched.
some technical difficulty.
Is this better? Sorry.
Much better. Perfect.
Okay, cool. It must have been the earphones, but yes, my name is Hannah. To reiterate, I'm actually from Connecticut and I'm a junior. And yes, I'm a journalism and media studies major with emphasis in advertising. So if you have any questions about on-campus activities or anything like that, clubs, I'm your gal. I'm here to help.
Hannah, can you tell us what high school you attended?
I went to Suffield High School. It's like on the border of Massachusetts and Connecticut. I was like very, very north.
And how large or small was your high school?
Mine was very small. I think my graduating class was like 150 students.
Okay.
But I still love this giant school. Not even giant. I feel like it's just like I like having a big school around me.
Yeah, that was one of my really initial questions. How did you find SDSU? What made you gravitate toward it? Can you give us a little inclination?
Oh yeah. So my senior year of high school, I guess I didn't plan very well. I wasn't doing my research as I should have, but somehow I just came up with this idea that I was going to go to California for college. I was like, no more East Coast, love it here, but I've been here 17 years of my life. So I decided to go to California and I found SDSU just through the programs. I originally was an ISCOR major, which is International and Security Conflict Resolution. SDSU has some really interesting majors out there. But so that's how I found it, because this was one of the only programs that I found through it. But I fell in love with the campus, the school, the student life, everything like that. And so I applied and I got in and I visited in March for the open house and I fell in love with the campus and I just decided to commit. And I was just like, when else am I going to have the opportunity to go across the country for 4 years and live out this amazing opportunity?
Absolutely. I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, for you to sort of interject and add comments as we move through the slide presentation. But thanks so much for sharing, your story. Like you, I think, sometimes our students are searching and they're not quite sure, right, what their needs are in high school. It's hard. There are so many colleges and universities. But hopefully we can give them an introduction to San Diego State University to see if it's the right fit for them, just like it's been the right fit for you. Mm-hmm. I love starting with this slide. I hope that as we progress through the slides again, that you find our really beautiful, aesthetically pleasing campus to to be engaging. It really is a wonderful, wonderful place to study academically, to take advantage of opportunities and to grow. So please put your questions into the Q&A if you do have them, so that as we are moving through the slides and moving through the presentation, we can answer any questions and address any concerns that you might have, especially if you are a senior applying to the university. We want to be able to clarify. San Diego State University is located, as Hannah mentioned, in California, in San Diego. We are the second largest city in California, so it's a large place, but I think small enough for you to get to know one another, large enough for you to take advantages that obviously happen both on and off campus, which is wonderful. The university is also part of the California state system. There are 23 campuses in total. We are the second largest of the campuses. And having said that, as Hannah mentioned, a big place, we are almost 30,000 undergraduate students. I know that that might seem large now, especially if you're coming from a school like Hannah's, which is quite small. Most of the students that I meet in my travels come from schools that are quite small. But nonetheless, I think that at San Diego State, we really strive on a daily basis to break numbers down for you so that we seem small, so that you can really get acclimated, you can get to know us better, and you can take advantage of all of the wonderful opportunities at your fingertips. This is a picture of the center of our campus. I'm sure Hannah spent many a days in this quad with her friends, right? Meeting professors and hanging out with friends, reading a book and doing some studying. But really, again, this is a great introduction to what the campus looks like and the feel of the campus in the middle of San Diego. The campus itself is, I think, very compact. Would you agree, Hannah? Very easy to get around.
Yeah, so actually one of the things that I needed in a college campus was a closed campus per se. I didn't want roads going through my campus. I didn't want cars, I didn't want to have to cross the street and go to building. This San Diego State University has a very compact campus where you can walk from one end to the other in 15 minutes, but it still feels so giant. And I like that there's no roads, I like that it's just people walking to class, skateboarders and stuff like that. You feel very in a community. You don't feel like you're crossing the street to go to another building.
Yeah, well, I say 25, but I'm a lot older and slower than you are. So I think that's fair, 15 minutes. If you're on a skateboard, a scooter, right, it's probably 10.
Yeah.
I agree. I think, since it is, there's no roads through the campus, there's only pathways and walkways, it really does feel very cohesive and nice and compact. I mean, you can literally roll out of bed from your residence hall and get to your classes and activities and to see faculty, meet friends for lunch and study, all within that 15 to 25 minutes from end to end, which I think is absolutely great. And everything is really close by, which also, again, allows for easy access. What about when you started at SDSU, Hannah? Can you tell us a little bit about maybe how you utilize the city, since we are so very close to downtown, beaches, mountains, deserts, hiking, biking, walking trails, restaurants, and wonderful wonderful sites like the zoo, of course, the famous San Diego Zoo, Petco Stadium. Can you tell us a little bit about getting around? I think it's quite easy, but I don't do it on a daily basis.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I was in the residential learning community called Discover San Diego. And as the title suggests, I had to go around San Diego a lot for this class. So I went to North Park, I went to downtown, I went to Old Town, I went to all these different beaches, and I didn't have a car my freshman year. So we took the trolley a lot, actually. We have a trolley stadium right on campus, right outside of our Chipotle. And there's certain days where it's only $1 to take it. It's $2 normally, I believe. It's super affordable. And so my friends and I would all just pile in there and we would just go place to place. And it was a very fun experience, because even being on that trolley, you get to see all the different stops. You get to figure out where you are along that line of path. And, even without the trolley, we use Zipcar, which is a thing. When you're 18, you can rent the Zipcar and you can go grocery shopping if you want to. But we have a Trader Joe's on campus, so you can just stroll on over there without needing a car or anything like that. But I got all around pretty good my freshman year, Ubers and stuff like that. And none of us really had a car, and I found no problem still exploring all the different places that we have.
Yeah, that's great to know. I love the trolley. I think it's really ingenious. And I love that we're the only campus that has one. So a little spoiled. And I think very economical for students, which is wonderful. I should also mention that we're very close to the airport. And obviously you do, of course, commute, right, when you need to come back and forth to school from home.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about sort of that, that traveling that you do? It's nice that you get to come to campus and you gain, right, time,
Mhm.
slightly lose it on the way back home to Connecticut.
Mhm.
But maybe a little bit about the travel and how easy it is to move from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Oh yeah. So my first time I flew across with my dad, and it's a day out of flight. Like there's no direct flights out of Bradley, the airport that I always fly out of.
Yeah,
But
we're spoiled in New Jersey, I think, by me, because we have so many airports that do fly direct to
oh
California.
yeah, my
Mhm.
airport's a little tiny one, so I have to go to Minnesota all the time for my little indirect flights. But yeah, I get to the airport and I do this program called College Boxes. It's through U-Haul. And so you put your stuff in boxes and they store it for you and you can just go grab it. And all my stuff fits into 2 suitcases, so I never really had to have that problem of shipping anything. But you find that a lot of the times you actually do consolidate a lot better than you think you can when you move into college.
Especially
But
when you don't need sweaters, right?
yeah, you need those thick jackets, the puffy jackets. You don't need no Lands' End stuff. I have my LB
Mhm.
moccasins still. They look pretty good. But yeah, it's really easy. You get to the airport, pick up your stuff, and then you drive on over here. We usually like get a hotel in downtown or Old Town or something like that, and then we drive on over here. Everything seems to be a very quick 20-minute drive from our campus, so it really is a simple process. We have Targets 5 minutes away from us everywhere, and we have a Costco. We have all the things that we have in the East
Right,
Coast, but even
right,
closer. So it's a
right,
pretty
right.
simple process.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think too, of course, we have 360 days of sunshine in San Diego. So that doesn't hurt, right?
Mhm.
In terms of the beautiful weather and the sunshine. We're very lucky in that respect, in terms of being able to take advantage of the outdoors too. So I want to talk a little bit about, obviously, what we can offer you as a university at San Diego State. Some of the things that we're really proud of are featured in this slide. We are a top 35 institution nationwide for ethnic diversity, but in my opinion, diversity goes well above and beyond, right, the ethnic profile of a student. We have students that obviously have a diverse range of interests. We have students that are coming from different religious backgrounds, socioeconomic. We have students that are coming from all over this country in the United States to study with us, and 50 countries worldwide to study. So they're coming to us from an international perspective. Students that come from different backgrounds in terms of, again, sexual preference, socioeconomics, race, religion, et cetera. So it really is, I think, a wonderful place in which you'll find many students that are like you, I hope, and that you're comfortable with. And I hope be challenged by students that are different than you. I think another wonderful thing about the university is, again, given that we're a little under 30,000 undergraduate students, we also have a lot of opportunity for students. So with that number comes opportunity. We have 202 academic degrees. We are a comprehensive university, so undergraduate programs, master's programs, and PhD programs, and about 97 undergraduate degrees in total. So we have 7 academic schools to choose from. Hannah's going to talk a little bit about her choices in a moment. But again, a lot of choice. We offer 3,047 courses generally in a year. So that's a lot to choose from. We're also the #1 center in California, and we are the #5 university, again, over 4,000 colleges and universities in this country alone. So top 5 in the country in the amount of students that we send to study abroad every year. You can imagine that we are sending students far and wide. We have over 650 choices, so there's a lot to take advantage of, and we're really proud of those numbers. And then we're also a top 30 Forbes Best Value College. I usually like to refer to the bang for the buck in terms of the undergraduate experience versus the cost of total fees and tuition. And of course, we'll talk about that in a moment too. In terms of the undergraduate schools, I know that everyone in the session tonight probably leaning in a lot of different academic directions. I'll just offer you some general information, and then Hannah can speak to, again, her experiences. We do have the Fowler College of Business, which offers you your traditional majors in marketing, management, accounting, finance, for example. And it is an accredited school, again. So it meets a separate standard of accreditation, which is not found at all schools across the country. So we're really proud of that. Our School of Engineering offers your traditional programming, again, civil, mechanical, electrical engineering. Mechanical engineering is one of our top 5 most popular programs at the university, so a very large program, and students can apply directly into our engineering school, something that I generally will recommend as well. We have a School of Education, in case you're looking to teach elementary, secondary, or a special education. Of course, you'll choose a concentration in an area of study, but a wonderful opportunity if you do want to teach. Our School of Health and Human Services is quite popular and quite competitive, with a very large major in kinesiology. If you're looking at the pre-professional programs like physical therapy, occupational therapy, or a physician assistant program, you may be looking at kinesiology in support of those degrees. And then a very competitive nursing program. We also have our School of Professional Studies, which incorporates art, music, dance, and theater, as well as our communications programs in communication, journalism, media, film, TV. So a really interesting place if that's where you're leaning. And then we have your traditional programs in the arts and the sciences. So majors that you might be familiar with because they follow suit with high school, right? English, math, history, the sciences, the social sciences, languages, etc. But there are a lot to choose from. And as any solid liberal arts curriculum will offer to you, we really are looking at your skills being transferable to anything that you'd like to do, right? With very few exceptions, perhaps going to medical school. So we want to be sure that you're getting a well-rounded education. So Hannah, could you speak a little bit to, obviously, the requirements, the general core of our educational program, and then a little bit about your majors and how you've moved from place to place and how easy that was for you?
Yes. Well, I'll start off with just giving my background on how I found my major. So as I said, I came in as an ISCOR major, which is under the arts and letters. And then I decided it just wasn't for me. I just lost interest. So then I moved to business. And then after a semester, I decided that also was not for me. And then, so I actually was unaware of SDSU's emphasis for a while. Like, we have a bunch of different majors that have separate emphases within them. So I'm a journalism and media study major with an emphasis on advertising. And that's something that I didn't even know that SDSU had to offer. Like, for instance, art, if you do an art major, you can do an emphasis in interior architecture, sculpting, wires, all of that. I know this just because I looked into a lot of majors when I was my freshman year. But yeah, I love the college that I'm in now. All the professors, I know them pretty well. All the classes are 50 people or less, and I feel very acclimated. Me cannot pronounce words. Into my major, and I know most of the people in my program, and it's just really nice that I have that, and I can reach out to so many different people from different classes that I've taken that are really helpful. And then in terms of our general education requirements, we do have the lab, the languages, stuff like that. I took sign language my freshman year. I took biology, and it just honestly, their G's can sometimes be annoying from an outside perspective, but I actually really appreciated getting the rounded curriculum. I took a women's studies class that I wouldn't have taken if I just took major classes. I took classes that interested me, but also met the requirements. So there are ways to find classes that you might actually help you find your major or your passion in life through the GEs. So I think it's a great opportunity, honestly.
Was it easy for you in terms of movement from school to school, because you have changed to 3 different schools within the university?
Yes, it was actually very easy. So you just go into your current school's advisor. You can look up their office hours anywhere. It's very accessible. Just go in, obviously not during COVID, but I'm sure you could just make an email with them.
Right,
But
virtual.
yeah, it's a virtual meeting. And
Mm-hmm.
you get this one slip, it's just one paper, and then you just have them check it off, and then that's as hard as it is, and then you bring it to the office and they change it for you. So they make it very easy for you to change your major if you do want to do that.
Good. That's good to hear. I always think that when students have very little exposure from high school, it's hard to think about a major, right? When students say they're undecided, I think that undecided is a choice. You're choosing to be undecided as you apply to college because you're not quite sure. And I think that's okay. We want students to be able to find their passion, right? Whether that's through their academic experiences or maybe leadership opportunities they take advantage of. That sometimes helps students to find direction. But I think, with academic faculty having office hours, advisors having office hours, of course, now virtually, in where we are, in life, but having, office hours to allow for students to come see them, to get to know them, to build relationships with them, right, is something that we hope that both students are taking advantage of, and obviously faculty are really accessible about. I'm glad you mentioned your class size, because I always mention this when I'm talking to my students in my high school visits about class size. I mentioned before that we offer 3,047 courses a year. I did some research, but 93% of those courses have less than 100 students enrolled, and about 94%, I believe, have 50 students or less enrolled, something really crazy. So there are not an overwhelming number of lecture spaces on the campus, but not right to mislead students, Hannah. There are some classes that are slightly larger. Can you talk about your acclimation from high school to a large class?
Yeah, so I took Stats 119 my freshman year, and that's a class that most SDSU students have to take. Just a lot of majors require that one, and that class is a 500-person lecture. So obviously my entire school was 500 people. So me walking into that room, I was like, whoa, this is what my assemblies used to look like. And it's just all of us here for stats. But honestly, like, you sit down next to someone, and I know it sounds generic, but you find people that you talk to, and then you talk to them, you exchange numbers, and then you help each other, and you find your communities within these giant groups. And then I think another thing that SDSU does amazingly is they offer supplemental classes, right? So 119 also has a 119A. So those classes are like labs that give you extra credit points in that main class. Like, I took 119A, and it was like 15 of us in that classroom, and it had the same students that were in my main lecture, but just in a smaller setting. And that with that class, you get, I believe it's 1 or 2 extra credit points on your main course. So it's helpful, and you get a smaller setting, and it helps you out overall. So SDSU is aware that these classes are big, and they're like, sorry, here's smaller ones. And so I think that's a great thing that they offer.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love that, classes that are that large, if they are that large, obviously have discussion, recitation, lab sessions that are really quite small, where you get to work with your group, on a weekly basis, or, maybe more than one time a week. You really get to interact, you get to ask questions, you get to go over assignments, which is wonderful. So that really is a good opportunity to complement, the lecture that happens with the faculty member. That's great. I'm glad you found them to be helpful. I think obviously we talked a little bit before about your experience living on a campus. Can you talk a little bit about your experience living in the residence halls? I always think, when we're thinking about housing for students, there comes the opportunity to build relationships, especially with other classmates, especially with freshmen together. It's a great way to find passions if you're living in a community like you did. In one of our residential communities. Can you just talk to your experience living with a roommate, sharing space, your meal plan?
Well, I loved my freshman year housing situation. So as I said before, I was in the residential learning community for Discover San Diego. And at the time, that was located in Cali, which is now a sophomore housing facility, but it was suite style. So I had 2 bathrooms within my suite, and there was 9 of us in one suite. We had a kitchenette and a living room area. And so we got we got very lucky with that placement. And I was in a triple, and then there was doubles and singles also within the suite. But honestly, being in a triple was not a challenge for me. It wasn't like a cramped space. We weren't on top of each other. There was a bunk bed, and then there was a lofted bed, and we all had desks and dressers, and everything fit very well. I wasn't ever claustrophobic or anything like that. I actually got my friend, one of my best friends was living on the bunk above me. So it was a great opportunity. I always joke around. I'm so thankful for SDSU housing for placing me with the girls that they placed me with, because I actually lived with them again my sophomore year, and I'm still very good friends with them to this day. And then my meal plan was Flex 7, I believe. So that's the one where you get $20 a day, $24 a day. And I use all of it all the time. We have on campus. We have 3 Starbucks on campus. So if you ever need any snacks, they're literally 5-minute walk from wherever you are. We don't have any of these restaurants on the East Coast, but there's Rubio's, there's OG's, there's Plant Power, there's so many different things. And trust me, they're all really good. I was scared at first because I'd never heard of any of them, but they're all amazing. Plant Power is actually a vegan like fast food restaurant, and then we even have like a sit-down restaurant on our meal plan. So our meal plan is like incredible. We have I believe there's one above Quick Cali. The name is, I'm forgetting it for some reason, but that's our buffet style food place. Sorry, I'm forgetting what these terms are called. Um, but I went there a few times and they had themed nights. One was like Lucky Charms, so they made foods around Lucky Charms, and that was incredible. My friends and I literally all piled in there in our sweatpants, and we all just started grabbing at all the Lucky Charm things. But yeah, our meal plan is amazing. I loved it so much. I had it my sophomore year as well. I even had a meal plan then. Unfortunately, I'm sad I don't have one this year because I would be going to OG's every day and getting their pizza. But yeah, SDSU has an amazing meal plan. Like,
Yeah, I think it's really great that we're so flexible and we allow for that for students because, everybody has different tastes and obviously some students have restrictions. So everything from vegan to vegetarian, low carb, gluten-free, we have, which is great. And with the meal plan, it allows for that.
mhm.
Did you used to buy groceries as well and keep things in your room so that it was easier for you with your?
So we have markets. SDSU has markets that you can use your meal plan money at. And that basically was like a little mini grocery store that was like literally right around the corner. So I would always go there and buy rice checks. This is my favorite cereal my freshman year for some reason. So I would just use whatever leftover money I had from my meal plan and buy rice checks, or I would buy like some chips, or I'd buy some candy at the market. So it was a good way to like use your money on things that weren't necessarily meal plan, but they had the opportunity for you to use it at that. But then my freshman year, I didn't go to Trader Joe's too much, but my sophomore year, I was at Trader Joe's a lot.
Yeah, and because you have a microwave and a refrigerator in your space, it's probably easy to keep things, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So we would get ice cream sometimes, and then if we didn't finish it, you just pop it back in that fridge that they give you.
Right, exactly. It's wonderful. And I just want to mention very quickly for students who might be interested in some of the learning communities, there are, as Hannah mentioned, Discover San Diego, there are numerous housing communities that are really wonderful benefits for students. You don't have to decide on that community until you obviously are an admitted student. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity if, again, you do have interest in sharing passion with other students. So definitely something to look at. It's a busy place. We're a very, very busy place outside of the classroom as well. So we work hard, but we play hard, right, Hannah? Do you
Yes.
want to talk a little bit? Because we have 350 clubs. We have Greek life. We have Division I athletics. We have club sports. We have intramural sports.
Uh,
Can you talk a little bit, I know, about your passions and where you spend a lot of your time?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I went to like all of the football games. It was so fun, especially coming from a smaller school where my main school was soccer. I had always wanted to go to a school that had like a big sports teams and like D1, and we like really had a lot of school spirit. So you would get all suited up in your SDSU gear, hop on the trolley with all the other students, and you would go to the football games, and there was just always so much energy, and it made me so happy just being there because you were surrounded by other people who love San Diego State as well. But stepping away from sports, I am involved with Greek life. I am involved with advertising club and photography club. And photography club is actually a campus or an organization on campus that my friend started last semester. So if you don't see any clubs that you like on campus, you can actually create one, and it's very easy. But other than that, I've also been involved with Green Fest, which is a organization that throws concerts every year. And last year we had Daniel Caesar, and so it's just like really cool. We have a lot of different stuff on campus. You can find anything you need. There's a lettuce eating club where you just eat lettuce really quickly, and whoever eats it the fastest is the president. So if you're good at that, you could become a president of a club. So yes.
I love it. I love it. And that's the great thing, right, about college is that you gather four other people that like to do what you like to do. And it's
Mhm.
really easy to start our club or organization, which is why we probably have so many, which is
Yes.
great. And we just broke ground on a brand new football stadium about a month ago. So I'm sure students are really excited about that. How easy was it for you to get tickets to the games? How easy is it for you to, to participate as a spectator?
Yeah, so we actually have a website where all students get tickets for free. So you just go on there, like I think the day before, and you just click the little student button, and it like gives you a little fact about SDSU sports, and then it pops up your little QR code, and it's very easy. It's very simple. Basketball games, though, I will admit, last year when we were on our winning streak, when we were undefeated, it got a little difficult, but that's just because every single person on SDSU campus wanted to go. So we actually crashed the site last semester, and like they had to reschedule when we could get tickets. So that should just show you how much SDSU cares.
How much spirit, right?
Yeah. So basketball was a little difficult just because we were undefeated and everyone wanted to go to this Kauai game. But other than that, you get free tickets, and there's an app. It's very simple.
Good. NCAA Coach of the Year. We're proud of that too, right? Hopefully we'll move in that direction again, I hope. I do want to talk a little bit, of course, about the application process, as we may have some seniors joining us, and we just opened our application recently. Our application opened last Thursday on October 1st, and it will close on December 4th. So that is our deadline date. Please keep that in mind. It's not a guideline. It is a deadline. And we do close the application on December 4th. You will not find us on Common App. I know many of my East Coast students look first to Common App to find the application. Given that we are part of the California state system, again, one of those 23 campuses, you'll find the 23 campuses have their own application, and that application is actually found at calstate.edu/apply. That application, again, opened October 1st, will close December 4th. This year in the application process, we have some changes due to COVID. One of those changes for seniors who may be applying to SDSU this year is, of course, testing. And SDSU this year will be a need-blind institution. We will not be looking at an SAT or an ACT score from first-year students who are applying for the fall of next year. So please save your money and no need to send us your scores. We will not be adding them to the application process. I do not have updates for juniors in high school as of today, but please keep in touch with us as your academic year progresses, and we would be more than happy to update you when we have an update about the changes that might happen for juniors in high school. But again, when I refer to the test blind institutional policy change, that is for seniors in high school this year. So no need to send your test scores. Well, I'm sure you're asking, right, Danielle, if we're not looking at test scores, then what are we looking at in terms of the application process? And we're still looking at a lot of information, right? Most importantly, obviously, we're looking at your academic record. What does that mean, right? We're looking at an academic record, which is really a combination of lots of different things. Our application is self-reported. That means that you can go into your guidance office and get an official or unofficial copy of your transcript, sit with it in front of you, and relay the information from your transcript into the, of course, Cal State application. So pretty straightforward, really. The application asks for all of the types of courses that you take advantage of from 9 through 12. We also ask for the level of difficulty of courses, and then we look at the grades associated with those courses. We also then look at where you're applying, so the major that you're choosing, and the preparation that you have toward that major program. So when we talk about A through G course requirements, which may not sound familiar to you or similar to other schools that you're looking at, that's okay. We want to be able to clarify for you and help you through the application process at any point, so you can always reach out to us. But the A through G requirements are, again, the opportunities that you're taking advantage of already in your high school. 4 years of English, 3 years of mathematics, 2 years of a lab science like biology, chemistry, or physics, 2 years of a social science like US History 1, US History 2, AP Government, 2 years of a language, any foreign language, anything that your high school generally offers, right? Italian, Spanish, French, Arabic, Chinese. 1 year of a visual art, that would be art, music, dance, or theater, and that could be in sequential form or 2 separate semesters. And then 1 year of an elective. And that elective, again, is in an academic area. We're very lucky, Hannah, that on the East Coast, right, we have some stringent requirements for graduation. And obviously, we know our students are working hard in our high schools. So most of our students will look at this and say, wow, that's easy. Keep in mind, students, right, this is, of course, the minimum. This is what we're looking at in terms of what we suggest to you for application, but not generally for admission, right? For admission to the university, we obviously are suggesting that you challenge yourself, that you take advantage of rigorous curriculum that you can, of course, do well in, and that you continue to do well throughout your academic career, right? Full year, 12th grade. Don't stop working now, right? We want you to continue to work hard. So obviously, these are just the minimums in order to be admitted, and we do see about 88,000 applications a year for 5,000 spaces for first-year students. We do want you to obviously continue to challenge yourself within the curriculum. So if you do have any questions or concerns, again, about the application process or any of the requirements through the process, please feel free to contact me. I'll have my contact information on the last slide so that you can reach out. But the application, again, is due by December 4th. There is no testing required of seniors in high school this year. There is a deadline date, right, December 4th. The application will remain open until then. It is self-reported, so you're looking at a copy of your transcript and you're relaying the information in the transcript. There is no letter of recommendation that's required of the application, although I would hope that you would suggest that your counselor reach out to advocate for you. I'd be more than happy to have conversation with them and you as your own advocate. A letter is not required, right? We couldn't get through 88,000 letters of recommendation in addition to the information that we request in the application and get you a decision before you need to make one about attendance. It would just be too difficult for us. So there's no need to submit a letter of recommendation. We are asking about your leadership information as well as your extracurricular responsibilities in the application itself. So you'll find that in our own application. And although we don't require or generally offer specific interviews, we always are looking for students to individually Zoom with us and to get to know us better on a personal basis. So again, by utilizing my contact information, you can absolutely do that. I do want to mention too that I mentioned before about cost of attendance and making sure that you're filing the right forms as you're progressing, because we only have a minute or two left before we end our session. It goes very quickly. Our cost of tuition, so that would be an out-of-state tuition, which would include tuition and fees, as well as room and board that Hannah mentioned, as well as what we would guesstimate for books and expenses, is about $42,000 for the academic year. That's not including any type of aid. So we do ask that students file the FAFSA form. That's the free application for federal student aid at fafsa.gov in order to be eligible for anything need-based. Right? Need-based money is obviously a combination of loan, work study, and any type of institutional money that we might offer. In addition to that, when a student is admitted to the university, and only after they're admitted, do they go to our website, sdsu.edu/scholarships, to apply to any additional funds that may be available for any type of student, in-state, out-of-state, etc., based on the criteria that they submit through their application process. So once you are an admitted student, you can go to that website to apply for additional funding. If you have any questions or concerns, obviously you should always seek guidance from our financial aid office, our financial services office, but I would be more than happy to help if you do have any questions or concerns about the estimations or what they obviously include. So again, do feel free to reach out to me directly. So I want to just talk a little bit obviously about Hannah's experience, again, as it pertains to her overall experience thus far. Maybe she can give us a quick pointer, something that she would recommend to you as a high school student still looking. Any words of wisdom, Hannah, before we end our session soon?
Yeah, I just want to quickly touch on the financial aid too. I know that number can seem very intimidating, but honestly, that number fluctuates heavily as you go through your time. It all depends on what food plan you choose and what housing you choose. If you're in a triple, double, this is just an estimate. So I wouldn't say get too intimidated by that number. It's super doable. I got loans and I'm not too worried about them. I have applied to the scholarship every single year. They make it very easy for you to do it. It's just a general thing. And then the system automatically applies the scholarships that are catered towards you. So it's a very easy process. They make it very simple for you. They want you to get these scholarships. They don't want this money. But yeah, just going to touch on my entire experience. I'm so glad I chose to do this. it's just, you really do get a completely different perspective than you would get on the East Coast. And you get to meet all these different types of people that you would not meet in the East Coast anywhere. It's just a very different lifestyle, and it's just very refreshing. And it just feels good to know that like you did something that's out of your comfort zone, you know, like when else, like I said, would you get the chance to go across the country and live out here for the next 4 years of your life? And it's beautiful. You meet amazing people. Everyone's so nice. And it's really easy to meet people and to get along with everyone. Again, I was intimidated flying across the country, you know, but once you're here, you really do feel at home and you get really acclimated with everyone. And everyone is also going through this freshman experience, you know, it doesn't really matter where you're coming from. It's everyone's at SDSU for the first time. Everyone's going into that class for the first time, you know, so it doesn't really matter where you say that you're from. You're all at the same place now. Might as well just make the most of it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised when I visited Hannah, which was the end of February, right? I left here, it was again 44 degrees in Newark. I arrived to a 80-degree weather, sunshine and beautiful. So that was my first, introduction. And I felt the warmth, literally, of the campus, of the population. And I think since we're so student focused and so student driven and so customer service oriented, we make those numbers seem really small for students. I hope. I think things break down for you, right? You're talking about the 30,000 student population that breaks down to 5,000 new students every year. That breaks down to 7,000 beds in the residence halls. That breaks down to, 97 majors across 7 schools. So maybe your program is only 100 students large, so numbers do break down for you, which I think is great. You don't realize that sometimes, right, until you're living it on a daily basis. I'm glad you mentioned the scholarships and in financial aid. One of the things I should mention is that, again, the sdsu.edu/scholarships page does sort of, I think, function as a search engine almost, right, Hannah, where, it will populate for you, in other words, scholarships that you will be eligible for to maximize your ability to receive the scholarship. So I probably should mention that as a great way to offset the cost. And as Hannah mentioned, there's lots of different types of aid available. So try not to be overwhelmed, but do your homework, of course, especially if you are a senior, in filing the FAFSA form so that you could maximize your ability in terms of financial aid. This is me, and I would be more than happy, I hope, to put you in touch with Hannah too, if you would like to reach out to us. We have different programming that happens every day of the week. We have virtual information sessions. We have tours, virtual tours. We have some information on specific schools at the university that's up on our website right now. We have a panel every week, an Ask an Aztec panel, which is phenomenal. It's a current student panel, so that you don't have to keep hearing from me. You can talk to our current students. So please feel free to get in touch with me at dtoglia@sdsu.edu if you do want more information, of course, on any of these events. So thank you, Carlos, so much for hosting Hannah and I tonight. We had a great evening. Thank you to our participants. Really appreciate your time. And again, please stay in touch.
Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. When you close out your window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide for this evening's session. Again, this is one of many sessions being hosted this week, so please be sure to sign up for additional sessions at njACAC.org/virtual fair. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all of the other session recordings on that same website. Thank you and have a great evening.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.